G'day fellas, and welcome back to the channel. Quick recap of last week. We went 3 from 5. We started the week pretty poorly. We were 0 and 2. Then we turned it around, got all 3 teams and the margins. The 2 games we lost as well had a combined total loss of 6 points. Panthers by 4, Knights by 2. Really could have gone either way. And I'm not much for talking about officiating, but I think this was definitely one of the worst weeks that we've seen in terms of penalties and the bunker and all that. Even the games that we won, there were some calls that I did not like for the opposing team at all. So unfortunately, with the 3 from 5, we dropped down to a 68% win rate, which is only 1% less, not that much of a big deal. However, round 17 is looking like a good one. We have 7 games again. Let's get right on into it. Our only game of Friday night, we have the Dragons hosting the Warriors. Now, the Warriors had no outs from Origin. Tamari Martin might be back here as well. One thing to note, both teams are also off a bye. Now, there's a lot of drama floating around with the whole Ben Hunt situation, and right before recording this video, I saw an article talking about how Ben Hunt is willing to use his own money to get out of his Dragons contract. If you're the Dragons coach or anybody close to the Dragons, a player, whatever, this is not the kind of drama you want happening mid-season. The team's already in poor form, and this is only going to make it worse. The Warriors are 6th at the moment, and they're going to want to build off that momentum. They're coming off 2 really nice wins, not to mention they're off a bye week as well, so are the Dragons. But, you know, I really like the Warriors here. I do think it will be closer than most people think, but being 6 and having potential to climb, I'm going to take the Warriors here, 13 plus. Now, the first game is Saturday. We have the Dolphins hosting the Eels. We should see everybody back from Origin by now. And the Dolphins started the season really strong. The Roosters win in round 1 made them look like gods. But then we found out the Roosters aren't really all of that this year. The Eels have really started to find themselves, and I think they've turned a corner in terms of their personal development. We saw them flog Manly just last week. The Eels going into this game, I believe, are a much stronger team, and Sivo's been dominating, leading the NRL in tries. Now, I don't trust the Eels here on the road to win 13 plus. Even on my notes here, I did tip Parramatta, but I'm going to make a last second change here, and I'm going to tip the Dolphins. Now, I know everybody and their mama is probably going to tip the Eels this week. I just have this really weird feeling about the Dolphins. It's a home crowd. When the Dolphins want to play, they can match anybody, but it's just what Dolphins are we going to get? But the same goes for Parramatta as well. What Parramatta are we going to get? Every little fiber of my brain is telling me Parramatta is going to win this game. They're an easy choice. If you want a safe bet, go Parramatta. I haven't done an upset of the week in a while, and I think this is going to be it. Probably regrettably, but I'm going to take the Dolphins here, 1-12. Second game is Saturday. We have the Panthers hosting the Knights. Now, these guys played back in round 7, and it came right down to the wire. However, that was at McDonald Jones Stadium, though, a place that the Knights are notorious for really upping their game. However, a thing to note, though, is that Kalen Ponga did not play against the Panthers in that really close loss. And call me crazy, but Cleary being out has breathed new life into the team. Even despite the Cowboys loss, I don't even count that loss because of how depleted the Panthers were. And in hindsight, if I knew that Moses Leota was not playing that game as well as everybody else, I probably would have tipped the Cowboys. Moses Leota had just had his son the night before, so that explains why he didn't travel with the team. Fair enough. With everybody back from Origin and Cogger playing really, really well, I see this being heavily favored to the Panthers. However, it was a close game before, and I'm not really impressed with Cogger's kicking. I'm not sure if Crichton is going to resume kicking here. Wouldn't have even gone to Golden Point if he'd knocked over half his kicks. But yeah, I still do think the smart choice here is a 13 plus, so that's what I'm going to go. The final game is Saturday. We have the Storm hosting Manly. This is a classic showdown. These teams have a lot of history in the grand final, and Manly just looked awful at CommBank. More importantly, how can you not take the Storm at Amy Park? Another thing to note is that Manly has dropped down to 12th as well. Well out of the top 8. This was the Roosters spot last week. How good was Will Warbrick? He had 4 tries against the Tigers. The dude had some insane plays that didn't even revolve around scoring or anything. Dude was outstanding. I really hope he plays this week. Manly's been up and down. They typically win a game after a loss, but I think that streak ends here playing at Amy Park. I'm not heavy on 13 pluses. I typically like the safe 1-12 pick, but again, I'm going to go the Storm here, 13 plus. Now, for the first game of Sunday, we have the Broncos hosting the Titans. I'm assuming that Queensland's going to win 13 plus and seal State of Origin this week, and the Broncos boys are going to bring that momentum right back to club footy. I think it has potential to be close at the start, but the Titans don't play the second half. Not to mention that Cobbo should be back from injury. The Broncos smashed the Titans at Seabus. I think the Titans have a really good team. They just need to develop. I think in 2-3 years, if they had this exact same team, they'd very well be a top 8 team, maybe even top 5. But for now, it's still early days. The Broncos are hit their stride. They're in their prime right now. The first team to crack 11 wins this season as well. It is yet again another 13 plus to the Broncos. Next up, we have the Bunnies hosting the Cowboys. Trelliant Stadium, I should say. I haven't liked the Bunnies lately, and the Cowboys have been looking like they've finally found themselves, kind of like the Parramatta situation. Going into this season, I had the Cowboys to finish first, believe it or not. However, one thing to note is that the Cowboys let a Panthers team with 8 starters out drop 23 points, and if Cogger, like I said, had made some of his kicks, Panthers win that game. Now, Latrell should be back. Cody Walker should be back, and Cameron Murray should be back. If that's the case, it's very hard to go against the Bunnies, who have looked bad without said stars. I was originally going to go the Cowboys for the upset, but I think the Bunnies have enough to get it done and get back to their winning ways. However, I'm going to take them 1-12. In the final game of the week, Roosters hosting the Raiders. Even though the Roosters won, I was not impressed with the win over the Knights, even without Teddy. Suoli'i is still not back. Luke Keary messed up his jaw in that game, so he's out. I think Radley might be back this week. I'm not too sure on that. And even Brandon Smith is still out this week. This is a very depleted and already pretty abysmal Rooster side, taking on a Raiders team who are going to value these kind of games even over playing anybody in the top 8. If the Raiders are the real deal, these are the games they have to win. If they're a top 8 team, they have to win games like this. The Raiders have been at the bottom of the ladder, and they've also been pretty far up the ladder too. This really could go either way. Feel free to back whoever you want in this matchup. Typically, people like to take the home team when it's such a close matchup, but I really like the Raiders here. When it's this close, overtaking the home team, I'm going to go with a team who needs to be in the top 8, and that's the situation the Raiders find themselves in. However, I am going to take the Raiders 1-12, not 13 plus. So there you go. That's round 17 in the bag, all 7 games. As always, let me know your predictions down in the comment section. Let's get a little bit of a chit chat going. And if you made it this far in the video, you are the real MVP. Hope the rest of your day is awesome. And from me personally, I'm out. Peace.